Hi, and welcome to another training video from XMPRO. Today we will be looking at how to use the select box component. As a prerequisite, you should have already gone through the video on how to create and use data sources. If not, then I recommend doing that first. The select box can be found in the basics section of the blocks. To use a select box, you will need to give it a data source. This can either be a dynamic data source or some static items. If you choose static items, you can add the items one by one in the grid here. And if you choose dynamic data source, then you'll select a data source from the page data. If you do this, you'll need to assign display expression, value, and group by expression. Group by is optional. The display expression is what you will see for each item, and the value expression is what the value of this row will be. If you don't choose a group by expression, then the select box will not be grouped. If you do choose a group by expression, it will group it by the column you choose. So let's see how this looks. The first select box has the two items that I added, and the second select box is grouped and has data coming from a data source. Some other properties you can play with are visible, which is self-explanatory, styling mode. If you choose outlined, it will have the basic outline here. If you choose underlined, then it will look like this, have a line underneath it. And if you choose filled, then it will have a gray background like that. Placeholder will appear in the item before you select a value. Tooltip will show when you hover. And the clear button will show a button if you have a value, which will clear the value. So you can see the placeholder. If I hover, then there's the tooltip. And if I select a value, then the clear button appears on the right here. In behavior, we have read only, which will create a dotted outline around it and make it unable to be edited. Disabled will also make it unable to be edited and will gray out the select box. If you check enable search, then you will be able to search by typing inside the select box. If you choose accept custom value, then you'll be able to enter your own value into the select box. And if you check spell check, then it will turn on the spell checker for any entered values. Value can be some static text. So for instance, if I put 1 in this, then it will be the first value. Or it can be dynamic, so some parameter or a variable, or come from the user properties. Or if you add a parent data source, like what I'm going to do here, and I'll drag the item in, and I can bind the value to a column of the parent data source. So it will take the value of the column for every row. So if I go in here, and you'll see that this first item has selected the value first, because the value of first in the static items is 1. And these two fields have selected their fields already, because the parent data source has these values for each of these rows. You can also do validation and make it required. Also, you can add a pattern. For more information on this, please see the video on validation. This has been how to use the select box component.